The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 33 of the Daily Mother Swole. I am here live on Busker and Periscope, coming to you on YouTube and also iCloud, really? iTunes and SoundCloud. It's one of those days already. Well, it is the hump day, and we got some stuff to talk about. I'm not going to talk about humps, but I'm going to talk about humps. I'm going to talk about core training, and core training actually starts at the pelvis, those lovely lady lumps and those man humps. So let's define what the core is. The core is the body from the pelvis all the way up to the cervical spine. So most people just think of it as their midsection, their abs, the muscles that you can see, when in reality it's actually inside, it's internal, and it's much more important of a target point to hit in your training than just doing your crunches all day long, as I'm going to explain. The goal of the core is stabilization. When you are doing core training, your goal is to work on stability, which means the ability of those muscles or that region to keep everything in place relative in space. So you're not really doing rocky sit-ups. You're not doing all these crazy leg lifts. You're working on pretty much on immobility in the sense that you are resisting movement. You're trying to stabilize, you're trying to hold your place in space. This is important because when you have these tiny little muscles along the spine, really deep inside, like towards the actual, imagine your spine as a bar, as a pull. When you have muscles that are really close to that pull, they are not strong in the sense that they're not going to be lifting hundreds of pounds. They're trying to keep all the vertebrae, all the bones in place. The job of muscles such as the latissimus, the rectus abdominis, the 6 or 8 or 10 pack, the quadriceps, the role of the pectoralis major, those muscles are movement muscles and they create movement for the joints. The muscles that we're talking about in terms of the core are deep, connected to the pelvis all the way up to the cervical spine, but they keep things in place. They're important because they keep us from getting injured. They protect areas like the spinal cord. They protect the integrity of the skeletal system. They keep everything organized and allow those other movement muscles to create force and to create that larger global movement that we like to do. So those muscles are important. The movement muscles, we obviously like to see those. Those are the ones that we look at each other like, wow, I want a bigger chest, I want a bigger butt. Those are movement muscles, but they're not the most important to prevent injury. So the disconnect is a lot of people will train their abdominals. They'll do a lot of crunches. They look in the mirror, oh, I don't have abs, I can't see my six-pack. That's cosmetic, just so you know. That's cosmetic. Obviously, we know now that extra body fat around the midsection can be a telltale sign of diseases and of metabolic conditions. However, when you are talking about strength, we talk about integrity, it's not the most important thing. The visual is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that your joints, your spine, your core is engaged, is activating, and that'll protect you from getting injured, which, of course, if you don't get injured, will lead to better training, will lead to more results if you're doing everything else properly. So we have muscles that stabilize and joints that stabilize, and we have muscles and joints that provide better movement. If you're not stable, you're going to start moving with compensations. If you do not create stability around joints that are supposed to have stability and mobility around joints and areas that are supposed to have mobility, your body will kind of spread around those tasks. So for example, the thoracic spine in the middle of the back, that's where rotation, that's where movement's supposed to take place. If you're sitting at a desk all day, if you're in a car all day, and you lose mobility in your thoracic spine, your body, in layman's terms, starts to borrow movement from other joints that are supposed to be more stable, such as the lower back. So if you are immobile, you're sitting down a lot, the hips should be mobile, the thoracic spine should be mobile, the lumbar, the lower back should be stable. You shouldn't be rotating your lower back. When you do like spinal twists and you crack your back, that's the thoracic spine rotating, not the lower back. So when you go to pick up a pencil off the ground, you hurt your lower back. When you do anything that throws out your lower back, a lot of times that's because you are immobilizing joints that are supposed to be mobile. You're immobilizing the hips, the pelvis. You're immobilizing the thoracic spine. And your body is essentially saying, well, I can't move there. I'm going to have to move somewhere. So your body will go to point A from point A to point B. Your body will attempt to move no matter what. And it's called a compensation. If your body does not have proper movement at certain joints, your body will go around it, kind of take a detour. And you can hurt your lower back that way because you're losing and your lack of mobility in those areas where you're supposed to have it. So some exercises that are important. I want you to go on my YouTube channel right after we get off here at Swolenormous, youtube.com/Swolenormous. Same username on Periscope, on Busker, everywhere at Swolenormous on YouTube, youtube.com/Swolenormous. And look up my exercise videos on the plank and the supine hip bridge. Those are two very basic, excellent exercises that will help you train your core and activate those core muscles. You can't just simply, I'm going to start working my core today. You have to train the brain to start firing those muscles. You have to train the brain to start firing the core muscles first. So go on there, watch the videos, practice those every day, and that will put you more on your way towards stabilizing your core, and that's a good base. That's a good start, and that should be done by everyone. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or an expert. There are ways to make it more advanced, and there are ways to make it more regressed. But the demonstration in those videos are beneficial to pretty much all levels, unless you're very, very injured or you're very, very, very out of shape and immobilized. But I don't think anyone watching this show is that immobilized. So those exercises that are in the videos and the way I demonstrate them should be more than fine. So that movement created around the stability, movement created around that base of support from the pelvis to the cervical spine. There are other exercises. There are many different core exercises. There are more advanced ones, which we will get into, which I will demonstrate and put on YouTube, of course. That will allow you to provide more beneficial strength. That will allow you to take your strength training not only to the next level, it'll create better movement patterns, it'll decrease your pain, it will create a better mapping from the brain to the musculature. So when you do bench press, when you do lunges, when you do squats, your body is in a better position to enact force and keep your risk of injury to a minimum. So better force production, less risk of injury, better overall movement, better life. Thank you so much for watching. I'll stick around for a couple questions if there are any on Periscope or Busker. Thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday hump day for episode number 33 on core training of the Daily Mother Swole. Thank you so much for joining. Stick around if you have a couple questions. I will get to them. I will see you tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Time right here on the Daily Mother Swole. Peace out. Have a great day.